Today's warm-ups and workouts are all about power chord structures. These are really simple, great if you're just getting started with your power chords and want to hold the shapes together as you go. And it starts with the idea that most pieces of music are in a key, right? Now that key doesn't just mean what scale you're going to be using, it also dictates the chords we're going to be using. Yeah? So if we learn our power chords in a key, we're learning them in a really good context. What we're basically doing is playing a scale's worth of chords. Now to do this, we're going to start by looking at a G major scale played entirely on the bottom two strings. Here it is. Now you might not get the best guitar solos and licks out of this scale on the bottom two strings only. Yeah, not going to win any prizes with that. But the reason we do it is that most of the power chords we use tend to have their root notes on the bottom string, on the root 6, and on the 5th string, root 5 chords. So here it is, our scale of power chords in G major. But what's the point? Now this is really great to be able to recognise what key a piece of music's in. You might have played a riff using a few of those power chords, but not necessarily know what key we're in. The trouble with power chords, they're easy to play, but they're not major or minor. So we can't tell from looking at them or just playing a couple of power chords what key we're in. But if we can recognise the pattern, tie it in to these exercises we're playing here, then we're going to know what key we're in. Another cool thing about this is it works the same shape exactly no matter what note you start on the bottom string. We've played that in G, but you could also play the whole exact same thing in F. Here it is. We number these chords 1 to 7 as we play up the scale. We'll go back to G major, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and back to 1 again. And look at this number 7 chord. This is a bit unusual. This is just 9th fret of the A string and the 10th fret of the D string. This is called a tritone power chord, whereas the rest of them they've got a 2-fret gap between them. This is how we normally create a power chord, right? We put, for example, the root note of G down here, and the next string is always going to be 2 frets higher. That's my G power chord, but up here at that 7th chord, we get just 1 fret gap, a tritone interval. There it is, or a diminished fifth it can also be called. Now once we've got these numbers happening, we can write out the song in terms of the numbers allocated to the chords. So if this is our 1 chord, this is our 5 chord, etc. I've written down a riff down here. See if you can figure out what it is. 1 1 1 5 5 6 6 6 4 4 1 1 1 5 6 4 4 4 5 5. There you go. Have a go at that. Do you recognise the riff? Once you've got the hang of this exercise and your fingers are holding together, what quite often happens when we learn our power chords is fine, we can do one, but then we move them around, they start to collapse, fall in on one another, and these fingers get clenched together. Keep a nice space between these fingers. Keep the space open. Press when you play the power chord, release as you move, and press again. Keep that structural integrity, keep the shape the same as you move between your power chords. So you know how to play your power chords in G. You can call them by numbers if you like. Write your own riff. See what you can do. Be creative as always. Come up with your own order, not just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mix up the order a bit and come up with your own riff. And then, you know, it might be great, it might be awful, but whatever it is, remember to credit me with 50% of the royalties. We can come to some kind of agreement on that. That's absolutely fine. Now most rock songs aren't in major keys. We've played some are, but we've played all these in G major. But let's do this all with a relative minor chord. Now the cool thing about this shape is we've not only learned all the power chords that happen in the key of G major, we've also learned all the power chords that happen in E minor. It's called a relative minor, and we can find it by going up to our 6th chord. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's an E power chord, so all these chords work for E minor as well. However, most of our rock songs aren't going to use this E power chord quite as often as they're going to use this E power chord down here. So we're going to learn this scale shape again, exact same chords, we're just going to stick a few of these chords down low. It's going to go like this. That gives us this tritone chord on fret 2, a really big, dirty sounding power chord, lovely. Yeah, use that to come up with a nice riff. So here's another song. Can you name this one? We're numbering the chords as if we were starting on G as 1, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. And it's 6, 4, 5, 1, 4, 5. What's that tune? So your creative twist with this, playing in E minor, is to pedal on this low E note. It's going to sound a little bit more thrash. Let's knock the gain up a little bit. Here we go. There we go, that's the sound. When you hit the humbuckers on, come up with your own riff pedaling on this E note. It might be more interesting than that, but have a go. Yeah, you know what the scale of chords are which are going to work with your E minor. Pedal on that E and come up with your best riffs. Now, there are some keys where playing with your root note on the 6th string isn't a great idea, like C. If I was to play the same exercise in C, I'm getting pretty high up here. No one plays the power chords right up here. Well, actually, Blur do, I suppose. So there's a few examples. Most of them don't play their power chords so high up. So it makes sense to now start with our root note on the 5th string. Here's C major with a root note on the 5th string. Notice something a little bit odd's happened here, that I've played the first 3 notes on the way up and hop right down to F for our 4th note, right? That's again just so we can keep all of our power chords with a root note on the bottom 2 strings. We don't tend to play so many root notes on the D string. We want to utilise these lower 2 strings where we can. Of course, C's got its relative minor. We can do the whole same thing in A. Again, we have to move around the chords a little bit in terms of where our root notes happen. We want to be able to use the bottom 2 strings as much as possible. But here's the scale in A. Again, this is really useful for spotting what keys you're playing in. You might play a riff with these 3 power chords: A power chord, G power chord, F power chord. Now these are really, really common in the key of A minor. Loads of rock songs in A minor have these 3 power chords in them. But they're not major or minor, are they, these power chords? So we wouldn't necessarily know from looking at one of those chords whether we're in the key of A major or A minor. Now, if this sounds like your root note, the A chord, and you've got your G and your F power chord in it, down there, those 2 frets lower and 2 frets lower again, you're in A minor. And you can tell that because you've practiced your power chords within these power chord structures. So you know you can play your solo in A minor. So your creative challenge is to take a tune you've been working on, to work on your power chords, a song that you've been trying to play, and you know a few of the power chords, but not necessarily all of them. See if you can fit them into one of these structures and figure out what key this song is in. Then you've got your scale you can use to play a solo. So enjoy improving your power chords within your power chord structures with this lesson. Should make you a better player. Enjoy.